Hello students. In the last video, we have seen the different types of viral diseases. We have completed all those viral diseases. Today, we are going to start another type of disease that is caused by protozoa. So that's why we will see the different type of protozoan disease. Now, what are the protozoa? You have to know what is actually the protozoa. Protozoa is one type of organism which is single-celled. They are the eukaryote single-celled organisms. See, this is also one specific group of organisms. These are not the animals. So that's why in first year in zoology part we have not discussed the that phylum, that is protozoa. This is a different because all the animal will have multicellular states. That means all of the animals will have more than one cell. As this protozoan have only one cell, so that's why we have not discussed in animal kingdom. But then also we have to know some of the disease that are caused by the protozoa. Yes, protozoans, they are also they can also be contagious. They can also actually cause disease in human body. So let's just start all the type of disease. First disease we are going to start is the amoeboid dysentery. This amoeboid dysentery, this is also known as amoebiasis. Now, just see the causative organism. What is the causative organism? It is Entamoeba histolytica. Entamoeba histolytica is the causative organism. That means the protozoa. Now, how it will enter into our body? So, how it will enter inside your body? It will be through some carriers. And what are those carriers? These are generally the housefly. Okay, so remember that what are those houseflies actually, how it will able to transmit the disease to you or to your body, gastrointestinal tract, how that protozoa will enter. See, suppose there is an infectious agent, that is the protozoa, that is present in the fecal matter. Now that individual, the patient who is suffering from amoebiasis, he defecate in the open space. Okay, so this is generally happening in the villages where the people used to defecate in the open space. So that's why nowadays those campaigns are going on that we should not defecate in the open spaces. So that's why this type of diseases we also can control. So what happen if the individual, he defecates in the open spaces, and in that fecal matter, suppose that housefly fall, and after that it fly and it will fall into the food particle which we used to take, then what will happen? That fecal matter which is contaminated with the Entamoeba histolytica, that protozoa, it will go to the food material. So on the surface of that fruit or the food vegetables, that will fall. And after that, when a healthy individual will take it, then after that this protozoa will enter inside our gastrointestinal tract. So this way it will able to transmit. So the causative organism is Entamoeba histolytica, but how it will enter into our body? Through a carrier. And what is that carrier? This is the housefly. And how it will enter? What is the mode? How it will enter? It is actually the oral fecal route. That means from the fecal matter through the housefly, it will enter inside your body through the mouth or from the buccal cavity, and after that it will enter inside your body into the gastrointestinal tract. Now just see, if it is in case of amoeboid dysentery, it will cause the dysentery in which part of the gastrointestinal tract? See, in the gastrointestinal tract, in the digestion and absorption chapter in first year, already we know that we have esophagus, stomach, small intestine and large intestine. So which part will be affected? It will affect the large intestine. Remember, it is a organism that live in the large intestine. So in the large intestine, they will start to cause the disease. So now all of you should know that in the large intestine or in the alimentary canal, how many layers we have already in first year we know. What are those? First layer, that is the serosa layer, isn't? Remember, Next one, that is muscularis layer. Third layer is submucosa. Last layer is mucosa, which have those invaginations. In the large intestine, those invaginations are not there, but yes, this is the large intestine parts. So this is the outermost layer. This is serosa. Second layer is muscularis. Okay. Third layer is submucosa, and after that we have the last layer, that is the mucosa. And after the mucosa, inside the alimentary canal, what we have? The lumen. So this will be the lumen. Understand? Now just see in this lining where actually that pathogen, that protozoa Entamoeba histolytica will enter. So just see, first of all, what happened? Our infectious stage is there. So that infectious stage, if we take with the contaminated food, it will enter. And what is that infectious stage called? This is known as quadrinucleate cyst. Remember, this question are asked a number of times in medical exam. What is that? What is the infectious stage of this Entamoeba histolytica or amoebic dysentery protozoa? What happened? It will enter, first of all, the quadrinucleate cyst. They will enter from the food. Along with the food, it will enter. It will pass through the esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and after that it will go to the large intestine. So whenever it will reach the large intestine, obviously in the lumen it will be present, right? So now what will happen? From the lumen it will go. See, this is the lumen where we will have this parasite. Sorry, not parasite. It will be the stage. Now it will pass from this mucosa to the submucosal layer. So just see, in the submucosal layer, we will have a stage of the Entamoeba histolytica. What is that? This is the magna state. Remember, this is the magna state. So that magna state, this is actually one stage. This is the infectious or this is the pathogenic state. So it will cause problem. This is the two stages actually in the Entamoeba histolytica. One is magna, another is minuta. So this minuta will be the non-pathogenic stage. Now what happened? First of all, from this lumen, this organism, that Entamoeba histolytica, the adult one, it will go enter into the submucosa. So it will go to the submucosa. We know in the submucosa what we have? The blood vessels. So here in this submucosa region, from the blood vessel, it will draw the nutrient. That means it will take the blood, and whenever it will take the blood, it will start to multiply now. So first of all, this magna, they will take the nutrient. Then after that, whenever it takes the nutrient, it will draw the nutrient from the blood vessel. What will happen? It will make pore also in the blood vessel. So that magna will gradually start to move towards the mucosa region. It will move towards the mucosa region. So this magna stage, it will also reach the site of mucosa. Now from this mucosa region, at one period of time, what will happen? It will pierce this mucosa layer and it will reach the lumen of the large intestine. And whenever it is reaching the large intestine, what we can call this stage will be the non-pathogenic state. What we can call, this is known as the minuta. So that minuta, it will start to have a layer outside. It will be covered by a cyst layer. So this is a encysted state. So this encysted state, what it is going to do, it will start to multiply. Remember, here multiplication will occur only in the nucleus, not in the whole organism. That means now this minuta will not produce from 1 to 2 to 4. Here the same minuta inside that nucleus will start undergoing just the multiplication. From one nucleus it will form two nucleus. So what happened now, this minuta which will still have this outer cis layer, so cis layer will be still continuing, it will be still present. Then this minuta which now have one nucleus, it will form two nucleus, so this is the binucleate state. Now from this binucleate state, what will happen, same, this nucleus, they will once again multiply, and after that it will form four nucleus. So whenever the same minuta will have the four nucleus, what we can call it, this is the quadrinucleate state. So this quadrinucleate state will now present in the lumen. And after that what happened, from the large intestine, what happened, this quadrinucleate state which is now still covered by a cyst layer, so that's why it is called as quadrinucleate cyst. So that quadrinucleate state which is now present in the large intestine lumen, along with blood, it will just pass through the large intestine. You can understand what are the parts of the large intestine. First of all, it will go to the ascending colon, then transverse colon, and then goes down. That is the descending colon. Come to the sigmoid colon, and after that, from the rectum with fecal matter, this contaminating state, that is the quadrinucleate cyst stage, it will come outside the body. So whenever it comes outside, what happened, with that fecal matter, with that stool, the blood will also come. That means what will happen here, you can see, whenever that cyst layer is passing from the submucosa to the mucosa, and from the mucosa to the lumen, then also what happened, the blood vessel which is now ruptured, they will also start to release blood. So along with the stool, blood clot or blood or excessive, along with that excessive mucus, they will also pass through the fecal matter. So now what happened, that fecal matter which is now contaminated with this quadrinucleate state. So what will happen, that quadrinucleate state in the fecal matter, they will transform into four progenies. That progenies that will be converted into a adult entamoeba histolytica, and that is known as the trophozoite state. So what will happen, now in the fecal matter this is present, so this become adult in the fecal matter itself. Now this housefly, suppose now the carrier comes and it will do its job. What is that? That this housefly, whenever it suppose fall on the fecal matter, then after that it will transmit to your house, that's why it's housefly. And after that it fall on the food or that vegetables or fruit, then you take the fruit, and after that this adult one that will go enter into your body, and whenever it will pass through your digestive or GI tract, from the esophagus it will reach the stomach, from the stomach it will reach the small intestine, and from the small intestine it will reach the large intestine. Now it will stay in the large intestine, and from the large intestine what will happen? This trophozoite state, it will go once again to the submucosa and convert into a pathogenic state that is known as magna, and that magna will draw the nutrients from the blood vessel, make rupturing of the blood vessel, take the nutrients, then after that it will start to migrate towards the mucosa, then after that coming to the lumen known as minuta, which is the non-pathogenic part. But now that minuta will undergo the normal binary fission of the nucleus itself. From one nucleus it will form two nucleus, 2 to 4 nucleus, which is now known as quadrinucleate state. Along with the fecal matter, the quadrinucleate state will go to the fecal matter outside the body. Then after that, outside the body, they will convert into an adult organism, adult entamoeba histolytica, which is known as the trophozoite state. Once again it will enter inside your body, and this way it will cause the disease. Now come to the symptom. What are the symptoms? The symptoms will include constipation, abdominal pain, cramps, stool with excessive mucus, and blood clot. Obviously, blood clot, and that is the mucosal layer. So mucus, excessive mucus will also come out with the fecal matter. He will have problems in the intestine. He will have excessive constipation. He will not able to properly pass the fecal matter. Constipation will occur. Then after that he will have obviously abdominal pain because it is going to rupture the blood vessel. So abdominal pain, cramps, these things will occur in this disease, that is amoebiasis or amoebic dysentery. Now what are the different medications available for the disease, that is amoebiasis? Yes, this is a protozoan disease. This can be easily treated like the bacterial disease. In the bacterial disease, we have seen that the antibacterial antibiotic we take, and after that we can recover from that bacterial infection. Similarly, in case of protozoan disease also, we have anti-protozoan drugs. So anti-protozoan drugs that can work against that protozoan infection, and we can recover easily from that disease. It's not like dangerous as viral diseases. Let us move to the next protozoan disease. So the next type of protozoan disease is leishmaniasis, or yes, we can also call this leishmaniasis, is also known as Kala Azar. Okay, so in Hindi we will call it as Kala Azar. This is in biological term we will use leishmaniasis. Okay, so what is the causative organism of leishmaniasis? This is the Leishmania donovani. This is one type of protozoa. Now how it will transfer from how it will transfer to the person? It will transfer due to the bite of the sand fly or phlebotomus. Remember this term, this word is very much important. It was asked, okay, a number of times it was asked that what is the carrier of the disease Kala Azar, that is sandfly or sandfly. All of us we can remember, but yes, remember this term also, that is phlebotomus. So phlebotomus or sandfly, basically the female, they will bite, and whenever it bites, what happen, that protozoa will enter inside your body. So whenever it bites, in which region, in which part of your body it will enter? So you can remember that whenever a mosquito bite, then what happen, it will actually take the blood. So whenever it takes the blood, obviously it is affecting the blood. So in which region, the area of infection is the blood. Okay, and whenever it enters inside your blood vessel, it will affect the RBCs. And in huge number, the RBCs start to burst. And whenever the RBCs burst, what happens? The RBC count will severely drop. And due to that case, what happened? The individual will suffer from anemia. And obviously, he have infection, so he will also have fever. And you know that whenever we have infection, then the RBCs are bursting, the liver will affect, and the RBCs, they will die. That hemoglobin, that will be broken down in which part of your body? That is the spleen. Spleen is called the graveyard of RBC. So the spleen and the liver, they will have infection. So that's why enlargement of liver and spleen will occur. So this is the disease. The second type of protozoan disease is Kala Azar, or also we can call this is as leishmaniasis. Remember the carrier, that is phlebotomus or sandfly, and the causative organism, the name of the protozoa is Leishmania donovani. Come to the third type of protozoan disease. What is that? That is sleeping sickness. See, sleeping sickness is a disease which have two types of sleeping sickness we can see what are they. One is African sleeping sickness, another is the American sleeping sickness. In both these two, already we understand from the word that the disease sleeping sickness that occurs in Africa, that is African sleeping sickness, and that occur in America, it is known as American sleeping sickness. Yes, this is the first difference. We will see another differences also. These are caused by different causative organism and their mode of transfer, how it will transfer into the individual, how it will affect the individual. We will also have another type of mode of transmission. So let us see first of all if it is African. If it is African sleeping sickness, then it is caused by Trypanosoma gambians. Okay, so Trypanosoma gambians is the causative organism, but if it is in case of American sleeping sickness, then the causative organism is Trypanosoma cruzi. Now, how it will transfer that protozoa, how it will enter inside our body, how it will affect the people, the mode of transfer. The mode of transfer is the bite of Glossina, or also we can call in this African type of sleeping sickness, the mode of transmission can also occur due to the bite of CC fly. Remember, this is also very much important. CC fly biting can be a cause of the disease, that is sleeping sickness. Very often it is asked, and normally they will ask you about the African sleeping sickness only. But yes, there is another type of sleeping sickness also, that is American. So in American sleeping sickness, the causative organism, which is Trypanosoma cruzi, the mode of transmission will be due to the bite of bed bug. So these are the two different causative organism, and mode of transmission that will be also different. But yes, their symptoms are similar. In both these two cases, what happened, the patient will feel sleepy. So that's why it is sleeping sickness. So that individual will feel dizzy, and they will have the lethargic condition. He will not able to be active in the daytime. He will feel sleepy all the time. And why this is happening? Because it is affecting a very important part of your body, that your brain. So some parts of the brain that is getting affected, and that's why the individual cannot become active, remain active throughout the day. What will happen? He will have dizziness or slippery or become lethargic. He will not become active because some parts of the brain gets affected. So what happened about the symptom? The patient feels sleepy, and it affects the most important part of the nervous system, that is the brain. The brain gets affected. That's why this sleeping sickness occurs. So yes, we have completed one part of the protozoan disease. Only 3 types of diseases we have discussed. In the next video, we will see one very important protozoan disease that will be very much important for the board point of view as well as from your NEET point of view, that is the life cycle of malarial parasite or Plasmodium. That will be very much important. See the video. That's all about the protozoan disease first part. Thank you.